Well, the sort of point I alluded to before, it's a good problem to have that we've got so much quality content that we want to try to get into a season. You've also got to understand the clubs are still playing trial games over the pre-season period. There's a number of trial games over the weekend in a number of different areas. So we've just got to balance it out. We've got to have some good discussions with our clubs and with the Players Association. We've got to work towards maximising revenue, but also ensuring the players' workload isn't too significant. So we're pretty confident we can find the balance, but it's not going to be easy. We've got to work pretty hard to get it right. That level of sentiment hasn't come through to us about the Nines. The level of sentiment came through to us about the Nines that it was one of the greatest experiences they've had. That's from both players and clubs. And anyone who was at the Nines had an incredible time. That's players as well. I mean, you ask most players who were at that tournament, it was a wonderful way to start pre-season. Yeah, we did have some injuries, and we're not glossing over the fact they're injuries, but we understand that we need to get a baseline of data on how bad those injuries were, how they were sustained, understand the player workloads, and work towards the research. I said in my presentation today that we will only make decisions based on facts, on analysis and on data, and we'll do exactly the same in this space.
The significance of a national competition at that Tier 2 level represents a really big opportunity potentially for us too, and particularly to expand into some of the country bush areas with a higher level of football. So this year we'll take all of it into consideration and we'll think very carefully about what's the right thing for the game to do given where the game is. What I would say is the game is poised for growth, and that growth will make it stronger and healthier than it's ever been before. So we've got this wonderful opportunity. I think we need to be really careful as to how we assess that opportunity and take the right steps forward. We will strengthen the Tier 2 competition this year with an $11 million investment and badge the Tier 2 competition as NRL, and you'll see Queensland play New South Wales on Grand Final day. So there's some really big steps that we're taking. We're already bringing an additional Tier 2 team in with Papua New Guinea entry. So there's already growth there. But what we'll do is look at it carefully across the piece as to what's the best configuration to set the game up for the next 10 or 20 years. We're coming to the end of our consultation period. We've identified a number of areas that we think are worth exploring. And those areas are currently being explored by Todd and Jim, and at the appropriate time we'll take forward a set of proposals to the Commission. So that work is underway, and there are a number of areas that we're looking at.
We thought rather than stick ourselves in a dark room and come up with the solutions and then just tell everybody, we said let's engage with people, obviously from the media, let's engage with all of our stakeholders and all the clubs, all the CEOs, and let's put on the table all of the options. Some of them very quickly disappear off the table because they're not viable, but some are still there, and we're obviously working through it to find out what is the best one.
Well, Rugby League is poised in a way it's never been poised before, and the progress and momentum that we're creating will make this game stronger and healthier than it's ever been before. So wind the clock forward 5 years, we'll be the biggest sporting community in Australia. We'll have hopefully gone through the next rights deal and seen a big uptick in the value of our rights. We'll have more people playing the game. We'll have more fans watching the game. We'll have better stadiums. So I am absolutely committed to that. I've got a great leadership team around me. There's no drama with that.
Our 4 biggest drawing attendances and ratings and crowds were at the bottom of the ladder. Parramatta, St George, Brisbane and the West Tigers. They all had disappointing years on the field, and that impacts our numbers, impacts crowds, impacts ratings. That's just being transparent, and it's just being real. Will they have a better year this year? We don't know. But what we have done is we've worked really hard with the broadcasters. We've tried to find better slots for television. We've brought Saturday afternoon football into play for the first time in a long time. We think that's going to make a real tangible difference. We've worked pretty hard to try to maximise some of the public holidays. Anzac Day this year will play in 3 states with 3 potential sellouts. We've tried to find innovative ways to work on the schedule, albeit we're in a period which is difficult to fly on flexibility because we're in the 2nd year of a broadcast deal. So I think we'll get better returns this year, but This is arguably one of the most complex parts of our business, is working across a season structure which now starts earlier and finishes later with lots of competing interests. But I think we're in much better shape for 2014.
If you look back across the game, what you see is average crowds haven't actually changed very much since 2007 and before. So I think the average crowd then was around 13,000. The average crowd in 2013, believe it or not, was around 13,000. If you do, if you plot it across the years and then do some kind of standard deviation, just chop out the anomalies, what you find is it goes up or down by 2 or 3%. So what's happened is really not that abnormal relative to what's happened before. But what it tells you is you have to make structural change. And that structural, otherwise you're simply going to be at the whims of a crowd like the Broncos, a club like the Broncos not performing very well and therefore still drawing great crowds, but has a disproportionate effect on our averages. And the structural changes that we're trying to make are around fans and members. All good businesses connect with their fans, they connect with their customers, and you've seen us make a big push for the 2014 season around fans and members. You heard me talk today about 400,000 to grow from 200,000 to 400,000 members and beyond, hopefully, because I think then you're connected with your fans in a way. If we're building really good stadium experience and we're building good game day experience and we're making it that the transport infrastructure works and all that stuff, you're going to build it in a way where that deeper connection means that more people are going to come to the games because they're engaged with the games. I think new media plays a big part of that. Mission Control taught us that. Nearly 2 billion impressions was a very, very significant achievement. And the man on your right-hand side there is pivotal to our push around new media. And you would have seen in World Cup, or you will see actually with the pre-season, that we're much more focused on those channels because we believe they're relevant to our fans. The increasing fan population is connected to the new media channels. So all of that is designed to make the structural changes that are required if you are to substantially grow your crowds. If we do nothing, we'll continue to get more or less the performance that we've got for the last 10 years. We're very specifically providing our requirements into the two master stadiums, right? The two master plans for ANZ and for Allianz. And it's the early days of that. So we've met with both stadium operators and we'll continue to work in partnership with them because what we want to achieve for a rectangular sport like ours is an absolutely premium experience when they go to those stadiums. We can't change where the stadiums are necessarily. They are where they are. There's one in Homebush and there's one here in the middle of Sydney. But what we can do is make sure that we put our voice and our shoulder to the wheel around developing the fan day experience when they do over time when they do come to these stadiums. So the specifics will be fed in. Jamie and Darryl will then build that into their master plans. And then we'll work with them to help secure funding or talk to government. So what we've got is we've got right game, right venue, and increasingly you're seeing the blockbusters will be moved to those big stadiums. Paul Kind has negotiated centralised deals with those stadiums, and as the blockbusters come through, we'll make sure we're in the right place. It's no more or less than that. And those games which draw smaller crowds, we can either use those games to widen the experience of rugby league across the country or in New Zealand, or we'll leave them in the suburban grounds. So the right game, right venue strategy is a really important part as the game grows over the next 10 years to make sure that our premium events are in stadiums that offer a premium experience, and that's why we're going to work so hard on those two master plans. Our roots are grounded in the community, they always will be. So our kind of centres of excellence, our spiritual homes are grounded in those communities. So there's no sense of a move. It's about putting the right games in the right venues, and over time, as we achieve our ambitions, because we're poised in a way we've never been poised before, you'll see bigger crowds for, I hope, a larger proportion of the games. But it's still grounded in the community and still grounded in our spiritual homes.